In the Red Earth village of Kanyanga, people believed that when the drums played without hands, something powerful was about to change. That morning, the drums spoke. The sun rose slowly, like it feared what it would see. A thin mist lay over the savannah. The wind moved through dry grass and carried the smell of dust, wood smoke, and distant rain. Birds circled low, crying as if warning the living. Elders sitting under the old baobab tree looked at one another in silence. Their eyes were heavy. They felt it too. Far from them, at the edge of the village near the riverlands, Zawadi stood alone. She was a black woman with calm eyes and a straight back. Her skin shone like polished ebony under the early light. She wore a simple indigo wrapper, faded from many washes. Around her neck hung a small leather charm, old and cracked, given by her grandmother long before death took her to the ancestors. Zawadi listened. From deep within the forest, drums echoed, slow, low, and heavy. No one was playing them. Hunters had not yet gone out. There was no festival, no funeral, no war. Yet the drums spoke. Zawadi closed her eyes. Her heart tightened. "Ancestors," she whispered, "what are you waking today?" Behind her stood a large compound once full of laughter. Now it was quiet. Empty. Broken like a pot dropped on stone. This was the home she had built with her husband, Kato, stone by stone, harvest by harvest. Kato. The name burned like hot ash. He had been a poor trader when he first came to her father's house. He wore torn sandals and spoke with hunger in his voice, not just for food, but for life. Zawadi had believed in him when others laughed. She had used her knowledge of trade routes, river markets, and mountain paths to grow his wealth. Gold dust, salt, kola nuts, cloth, everything passed through her careful hands. But when wealth came, love left. Kato found a younger woman from across the hills. A woman who wore bright beads and laughed loudly in public. A woman who loved what Kato had, not how he became it. One season ago, under the same baobab tree where elders now sat, Kato divorced Zawadi. No long words. No shame in his eyes. "I need a woman who reflects my future," he said. The elders nodded. Divorce was allowed. But the ancestors were listening. What Kato did not understand was this. Nothing he owned truly belonged to him. The trade connections. The silent partners. The hidden stores of gold dust. The safe paths through the forests where spirits guarded travelers. All of it was known to Zawadi alone. She had built his power quietly, like roots growing underground. And roots could also pull a tree down. That morning, Zawadi walked to the river. The water moved slowly, dark and wide. She knelt and touched its surface. It was cold. Alive. "I release what is no longer bound to me," she said. The wind rose suddenly. Leaves shook. The drums grew louder. Far away, in the hill town of Moranda, Kato prepared for his wedding. Bright cloths hung from poles. Women sang sharp, joyful songs. Men beat drums with strong hands. Fire roasted meat, and fat dripped into flames, sending sweet smoke into the air. Kato stood proud. His new bride sat beside him, her eyes shining, her hands decorated with gold. He smiled. But something felt wrong. A trader arrived late, breathing hard. "The salt caravan has turned back," he said. "They say the forest path is closed." Another man ran in. "The river boats will not move," he shouted. "The water is too wild." Then another. "The gold storehouse is empty." Kato's smile faded. One by one, messengers came. Every trade line failed. Every promise broke. Every coin vanished like mist under the sun. By nightfall, Kato was sweating. His wedding drums sounded weak. The joy thinned like old cloth. Back in Kanyanga, Zawadi lit a small fire outside her home. She placed herbs into the flames. The smoke curled upward, thick and white. The night insects sang loudly. Somewhere, an owl cried. She did not smile. She did not cry. She only watched the fire. "Balance," she said softly. "Not revenge. Balance." The flames jumped. From the darkness beyond the firelight, a figure watched her. Tall. Still. Wrapped in a cloak darker than night. Zawadi felt the air change. The wind stopped. The insects fell silent. She looked up. The man stepped forward. His face was hidden, but his voice was deep and ancient, like earth being broken open. "Daughter of wisdom," he said, "you have pulled a thread that reaches far." Zawadi stood slowly, her heart pounding. "Who are you?" she asked. "I am sent," the man replied. "And I will walk to the wedding." The fire crackled loudly, throwing sparks into the sky. Zawadi's charm grew warm against her chest. The drums in the forest beat once more, stronger than before. And the ancestors leaned closer to the world of the living. The first light of dawn crept over Moranda like a soft promise. The sky burned in shades of pink, gold, and purple, reflecting off the red earth. Birds returned to the trees, singing timidly at first, then boldly. The river sparkled with the morning sun, and the wind carried the scent of wet soil and smoke from the fires that had burned all night. Zawadi stood at the edge of the square, watching the village wake. Her wrapper was damp from the night's rain, her feet covered in mud, yet her eyes were clear, steady, and unshaken. The air around her still held the memory of the mountain spirit, the lingering weight of truth and balance. The elders gathered once more, speaking softly among themselves. They had seen many storms, but none like the one that had passed. They had seen wrongs, but none carried such depth and consequence. "You have walked a path few could endure," the eldest said to Zawadi. "And you have returned with honor untouched by anger." Zawadi nodded. "I only followed the guidance of those who came before me," she said. Her hand rested on the charm at her chest. "The ancestors watch, and they remind us that every action has a ripple." Cato stepped forward cautiously. His robe, once fine and bright, was stained with mud and sweat. He looked small against the morning sun, his head bowed. I understand now," he whispered. "I cannot undo the past, but I will not forget it. You have given me more than mercy, you have given me a lesson I cannot escape." Zawadi met his gaze. There was no warmth, no hatred. Only clarity. "Your lesson is yours to carry. I will walk forward with mine." The villagers began to emerge from their homes, their faces a mixture of awe, relief, and newfound respect. Traders who had doubted her returned, bowing their heads, offering apologies. They recognized that the woman who had been quiet, patient, and powerful in unseen ways had not only restored balance but had revealed the truth hidden beneath wealth, pride, and ambition. Children gathered around her, their eyes wide. One little girl stepped forward, holding a small clay pot. "Are you the one the mountains listened to?" she asked in a voice trembling with wonder. Zawadi smiled faintly, crouching down so that her eyes were level with the child's. "I am only the one who listened," she said. "The mountains, the rivers, the elders, they guided me. We all have the strength to be heard if we follow what is right, not what is easy." The eldest hunter approached Zawadi, leaning on his spear. "The mountain spirit will not return for a long time," he said. "But the lesson of tonight will remain, if we remember it. What you have shown us is courage of a rare kind." Zawadi looked toward the mountains, now calm and still in the morning light. Their dark shadows stretched over the village, silent witnesses. "Courage is not the absence of fear," she said. "It is walking forward even when the path is unclear, when the wind howls and the earth trembles." Cato turned toward the elders and villagers. His voice, though hesitant, carried. "I have been blind to the work, wisdom, and strength of those I thought beneath me. I thought wealth made me greater. I thought possession made me powerful. I was wrong. From this day, I will honor what I was given, and I will teach others to do the same." Zawadi's charm glowed briefly at her chest. She felt the ancestors' presence, quiet and approving. They did not demand her vengeance. They demanded understanding, respect, and balance. The villagers slowly began to restore the square. Fires were rebuilt, the earth smoothed, and goods returned to their rightful owners. People worked together, guided not just by tradition, but by the living memory of the night that had changed them. Zawadi did not linger in the square for long. She walked toward the riverlands, where the water moved steadily, reflecting the sunlight like scattered gold. She knelt and dipped her hands into the cold water, feeling the life of the land flowing through her fingers. The river whispered, carrying the memory of what had happened, and she whispered back. Balance is not given, it is chosen. Every action, every word, every thought, let it honor the living and the ancestors alike. She rose and walked back toward Kanyanga. Her journey had begun at a time of loss, but she now carried clarity, respect, and unshakable purpose. The earth beneath her feet seemed to hum softly, approving her steps. As she reached her village, she was greeted with quiet joy. The elders nodded respectfully. Children ran to touch her hands, feeling the warmth of a woman who had faced storms, spirits, and betrayal, and had emerged whole. Zawadi stood beneath the baobab tree once more. Its branches stretched wide, ancient and knowing. She closed her eyes, listening to the whispers of the wind, the rustle of leaves, and the distant rhythm of drums far beyond the village. She felt the presence of her grandmother, smiling in memory, the ancestors proud, and the mountain spirit resting once more in its peaks. She spoke softly, a promise to herself and the land. Power is not taken by force. Respect is not earned through wealth alone. Wisdom is seen, not claimed. And the heart that chooses balance will always hear the voices of the past guiding the future. The sun climbed higher. Shadows shortened. Life returned to normal, yet nothing would ever be quite the same in Moranda. People would remember the night the mountain answered, the river spoke, and the truth of a woman's power reshaped an entire village. And so, the moral became clear to all who had witnessed. True strength is measured not by what one can take, but by the courage to stand with justice, honor what is given, and walk in harmony with the spirits, the earth, and the people. Zawadi smiled faintly, a quiet, powerful smile. The world was balanced once again, not because of fear, not because of anger, but because of understanding, wisdom, and the courage to act rightly. The drums played softly now, in celebration not of wealth, not of conquest, but of life, respect, and the enduring power of the ancestors. The night grew heavier after the stranger spoke. Zawadi stood near the fire, her feet planted on the cool earth. The man's shadow stretched long, touching the walls of her compound. The smell of burning herbs mixed with dust and river air. Her heart beat slow but strong, like a drum that knew its rhythm. "You will walk to the wedding," Zawadi said carefully. "Why?" The man lifted his head slightly. Moonlight touched the edge of his cloak but still did not reveal his face. "Because what was broken must be seen," he replied. "And what was hidden must stand in daylight." Zawadi felt a chill move along her arms. She had called for balance, not for chaos. Yet the ancestors answered in ways no living person could fully control. "I did not ask for shame," she said. "Only truth." The man nodded once. "Truth has many feet," he said. "It arrives when it chooses." Before Zawadi could speak again, the wind returned. Strong. Sudden. The fire bent low, then rose high. When she looked up again, the man was gone. Only the drums remained. They echoed far into the forest, then slowly faded. Zawadi sat by the dying fire until dawn. She did not sleep. Her mind traveled old roads, remembering the first days of her marriage. The hope. The work. The long nights counting goods by firelight while Kato slept. At sunrise, she rose and washed her face at the river. The water reflected her eyes, steady, clear, unbroken. In Moranda, the wedding day arrived fully. The sun burned bright over the hills. Guests filled the open square. Drummers beat harder now, trying to push joy back into the air. Women danced in circles, their ankle bells ringing fast. But worry sat among them like an unseen guest. Kato stood tall, yet his eyes searched the crowd again and again. Traders he expected did not come. Elders from nearby villages sent no gifts. Even the king's messenger was missing. "Why is the square so thin?" his new bride whispered. Kato forced a laugh. "People fear the heat," he said. But deep inside, fear was already biting. Near the edge of the village, the hunters gathered. These were strong men who knew the forest better than their own hands. They spoke in low voices. "The paths are wrong," one said. "Trees fell where they never fall." "I heard voices near the river last night," another added. "Not human." The oldest hunter spat on the ground. "This is not a hunting day," he said. "This is a warning day." At the same time, in Kanyanga, elders met beneath the baobab. The wind shook its great branches. Leaves fell though it was not the season. An old woman elder closed her eyes. "The woman has spoken to the river," she said. Another elder nodded slowly. "And the river has answered." They did not speak Zawadi's name. Names carried power. As the sun climbed higher, dust rose from the road leading into Moranda. People turned. A tall figure walked alone toward the wedding square, wrapped in a dark cloak. Step by step, the drums slowed. A murmur spread like fire through dry grass. "Who is that? Is he a king's man?" "No, I feel cold." Cato's chest tightened. His mouth went dry. The stranger stopped at the edge of the square. He stood still, listening to the drums as if counting their heartbeats. Then he raised one hand. The drummers stopped. Silence fell heavy. Even the birds seemed to vanish. "I come with witness," the man said. His voice carried without effort. "And with memory." Cato stepped forward, anger flashing in his eyes. "This is my wedding," he snapped. "You have no place here." The stranger turned his head slowly. For a brief moment, Cato thought he saw fire behind the shadow of the hood. "I have every place," the man replied. "Because nothing you wear today was made by your hands alone." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Cato laughed sharply. "Guards!" he shouted. But no one moved. The guards stood frozen, sweat shining on their faces. The stranger continued. "You walked roads you did not clear. You traded with names you did not earn. You drank from a river guided by another's wisdom." Cato felt the ground shift beneath him. His new bride pulled back slightly, her smile gone. "Enough!" Cato shouted. "Speak your name or leave." The stranger lifted his hood just enough for his eyes to be seen. They were old. Older than any man there. "I speak for the woman you left," he said. "And for the ancestors who watched you forget." A low wind swept through the square. Cloth banners snapped loudly. Dust spun into small dancing circles. Some elders in the crowd lowered their heads. Far away, Zawadi paused in her work. She felt it, a pull in her chest, like a rope drawn tight. "It has begun," she whispered. Back in Moranda, Cato's voice shook. "This is lies," he said. "She is nothing now." The stranger stepped closer. "If she was nothing," he said, "then why does everything fall when she lets go?" At that moment, a messenger ran into the square, crying out, "The last gold caravan is gone. The buyers refuse our name." A woman screamed. Children clutched their mothers. Cato staggered back. The drums began again, but not in celebration. Slow, heavy, judgment drums. The stranger turned slightly, as if listening to voices no one else could hear. "This day is not finished," he said. "Not yet." He stepped back into the crowd. And vanished. Fear settled deep into Moranda like poison into water. The wedding did not end. But it was already broken. After the stranger vanished, Moranda no longer felt like a place of joy. The sun still burned above, but its light seemed weak, like a tired flame. The wedding guests stood in small groups, whispering. Laughter had died. Even the drums sounded unsure, as if they feared their own echo. Cato sat heavily on a carved stool. Sweat ran down his temples. His fine robe felt tight on his skin. His new bride sat beside him, stiff and silent. Her eyes no longer shone. They watched the people around them, searching for safety. "What did that man mean?" she asked at last. Cato did not answer. Inside his chest, memories were waking. He remembered the early days, long before gold, before praise, before pride. He remembered Zawadi walking beside him through forest paths at dawn. She spoke to traders in calm voices. She greeted elders with respect. Spirits seemed to open doors for her. He had followed her light. But he had wanted to be the sun. The elders of Moranda gathered quickly. Their walking sticks tapped the ground in slow rhythm. One elder, his beard white like ash, raised his hand. "This wedding is under shadow," he said. "We must know why." Another elder nodded. "The ancestors do not disturb joy without reason." They turned their eyes to Kato. "Speak," the old man said. "What have you broken?" Kato's mouth opened, then closed. "I broke nothing," he said weakly. But the wind rose again, strong and sharp. Dust filled the square. Somewhere, thunder rolled though the sky was clear. At that same moment, in Kanyanga, Zawadi felt the call. She had been grinding grain when the sound reached her, not with ears, but with blood. The charm on her chest pulsed with heat. Her grandmother's voice whispered in memory. "Do not hide when truth stands up." Zawadi tied her wrapper tighter and began to walk. The path from Kanyanga to Moranda crossed riverlands, savanna, and forest. Along the way, signs appeared. A river she crossed dried suddenly, its bed cracked like old skin. She stepped carefully. In the savanna, cattle stood restless, refusing to graze. In the forest, the trees leaned inward, their leaves whispering her name. Zawadi did not fear. She greeted each place with respect. "I walk with clean hands," she said. "Let me pass." And the path opened. Back in Moranda, the elders felt it before they saw it. A hush fell over the square. A woman was walking toward them. Zawadi. She moved with calm strength. Her steps were slow, steady, sure. Dust did not cling to her feet. The wind seemed to move around her, not against her. Murmurs rose. "That is her. The first wife. The one who built his wealth." Kato's heart dropped. Zawadi stopped before him. She did not bow. She did not shout. She simply looked at him. The silence was sharp. "Zawadi," Kato said, forcing a smile. "You came to see me marry." "I came to see truth," she replied. Her voice was clear, neither soft nor loud. The elders leaned forward. "Speak, daughter," one said. "This day listens." Zawadi turned to the crowd. "When I met Kato," she began, "he had empty hands. I shared my knowledge, my paths, my spirit connections. Together we rose." She paused. But when wealth came, respect left. Her eyes returned to Kato. "You took what we built and called it yours alone." Kato stood abruptly. "You were my wife," he snapped. "You did your duty." A murmur of anger moved through the crowd. Zawadi did not flinch. "A wife is not a tool," she said. "And wisdom is not owned." The charm on her chest glowed faintly. At that moment, the ground trembled. A low rumble rolled beneath their feet. The drums in the distance beat once, deep and final. From the edge of the square, the cloaked man appeared again. He stepped forward, pulling back his hood fully. Gasps filled the air. His face was carved like stone, lines deep and ancient. His eyes held the weight of many seasons. "He is an ancestor's messenger," an elder whispered. The man raised his staff. "What is buried must be uncovered," he said. The earth beneath Kato cracked open. A small pit formed at his feet. From it rose objects, ledgers, charms, trade seals, all marked with Zawadi's signs. The crowd cried out. These belonged to her. She was the root. Kato fell to his knees. "I did not know," he whispered. Zawadi's voice cut through him. "You knew," she said. "You chose to forget." The stranger turned to Zawadi. "Do you wish to reclaim?" he asked. She closed her eyes. Faces of her ancestors rose in her mind. Strong women. Silent builders. Patient watchers. "Yes," she said. "But not with hatred." The wind softened. The earth closed. The crowd exhaled. Kato's new bride stepped away from him, fear in her eyes. "This is not the man I married," she said. She turned and walked out of the square. Kato reached for her. She did not look back. Zawadi faced the elders. "Let this day be a lesson," she said. "What is built together must be honored together." The elders nodded. But the story was not yet finished. The ancestor's messenger lifted his staff again. "The deepest wound still bleeds," he said. "And the night will test all hearts." Thunder rolled once more. Dark clouds gathered fast. The sky began to change. Night fell quickly after the storm, as if the sun feared to stay and watch what would come. The mountains to the north rose like sleeping giants, their peaks hidden in shadow. A cold wind rolled down from them, carrying the smell of stone, old rain, and something ancient. In Moranda, fires were lit all around the village. Their flames shook and bent, struggling against the wind. Drums beat without rest now, fast, warning drums that echoed from hill to hill. Boom boom boom. Zawadi stood near the largest fire, her face calm but her heart alert. The elders gathered close to her. Hunters tightened their grips on spears and bows. No one spoke loudly. Fear moved among them like a living thing. "The mountain spirit has awakened," said the oldest hunter. "It does not rise without reason." The cry came again, deep, powerful, filled with anger and pain. It rolled down the slopes and into the village, shaking roofs and bones. Children screamed. Dogs howled and ran. Cato, preparing to leave at dawn, froze where he stood. His eyes were wide with terror. "This is because of me," he whispered. Zawadi turned to him. "This is because balance was broken long ago," she said. "Tonight, it is being restored." The wind grew stronger. Ash flew into the air. Firelight painted faces in red and gold, making everyone look like spirits themselves. From the mountain path, something moved. At first, it was only shadow. Then a shape formed, huge, slow, and glowing faintly like embers under ash. The ground shook with each step. Trees bent away. Stones cracked. The mountain spirit had come. Its body was carved from rock and earth. Moss and roots covered its limbs. Its eyes burned like deep fire. People fell to their knees. "The guardian," an elder whispered. "The one who remembers everything." The spirit stopped at the edge of the village. Its voice did not come from a mouth, but from the ground itself. "Who took without honor?" it roared. The drums stopped instantly. Silence fell. Zawadi stepped forward, alone. "I stand," she said clearly. The spirit's burning eyes turned to her. "You were wronged," it said. "Why do you still stand?" "Because I chose balance over destruction," Zawadi replied. But the wound reached deeper than one man. The spirit rumbled, considering her words. Cato crawled forward, trembling. "I took," he cried. "I forgot respect. Punish me." The mountain spirit looked at him. "Your punishment has begun," it said. "You will carry memory like a heavy load." The spirit then turned back to Zawadi. "And you," it said, "what do you ask?" Zawadi felt the heat of its gaze. Images filled her mind, villages burning from greed, forests stripped bare, women's wisdom erased. She raised her chin. "I ask that what was hidden be remembered," she said. "That no woman's work be swallowed by pride again." The firelight flared. The spirit lifted one massive arm and struck the ground. The earth split open, not in violence, but in revelation. From the crack rose glowing symbols, floating in the air like fireflies. They showed images, Zawadi guiding traders, Zawadi speaking with elders, Zawadi blessing paths. The crowd gasped. The mountain spirit spoke. "Let her name be spoken." The elders stood. "Zawadi," they said together. The hunters echoed it. The women echoed it. Even the wind carried it. Cato bowed his head to the earth. "I see now," he whispered. "Too late, but I see." The mountain spirit began to fade, its task complete. "Balance is painful," it said. "But necessary." With a final rumble, it turned and walked back toward the peaks. The ground stilled. The wind softened. The fires burned steady again. People slowly rose from the ground, shaken but alive. Zawadi felt her strength return fully. Not power over others, but power within herself. The elders approached her. "You faced what even kings fear," one said. "Tomorrow, the land will speak of this night." Zawadi nodded. "But dawn has not yet come," she said. She turned toward Cato. "This is your last night here," she told him. "Carry what you learned." Cato nodded, tears streaking his face. "I will," he said. The drums began again, slow, healing rhythms now. Night held Moranda tightly. And somewhere, far above, the ancestors watched in silence. The sky over Moranda darkened as if night had arrived too early. Thick clouds rolled in, heavy and low, pressing down on the village. The air turned cold. The smell of rain mixed with dust and fear. People looked up, uneasy. "This is no normal storm," whispered an elder. Thunder cracked loudly, shaking the ground. Children cried and clung to their mothers. Fires hissed as the wind pushed ash into the air. Zawadi stood in the center of the square, unmoving. Rain had not yet fallen, but her wrapper fluttered as if touched by unseen hands. She felt the presence of the ancestors closing in, not with anger, but with deep seriousness. The cloaked messenger raised his staff again. "Truth has been spoken," he said. "But truth alone does not heal what was wounded." Cato remained on his knees. Mud stained his robe. His shoulders shook. "I have lost everything," he said hoarsely. "What more is there to take?" The messenger turned his ancient eyes to him. "Pride," he replied. The word fell heavy. A sudden gust of wind knocked over baskets and stools. Drums in the distance began to beat on their own, slow and demanding. Boom, boom, boom. Each beat felt like a question. Zawadi closed her eyes. She remembered her grandmother's words long ago by firelight. When spirits speak, listen with the heart, not the wound. She stepped forward. "What do the ancestors ask?" she said. The messenger studied her carefully. "They ask for choice," he said. "Power can destroy or restore. Which path will you walk?" The rain finally began to fall, large, heavy drops that darkened the red earth. Steam rose from the ground. The square filled with the sound of rain, drums, and distant thunder. Cato lifted his head, eyes wide. "Zawadi," he said, voice breaking. "I wronged you. I saw your strength and feared it. I wanted to stand taller by pushing you down." The crowd listened closely. Confession carried weight. "I do not ask for your return," he continued. "Only mercy." Zawadi looked at him for a long moment. Her heart twisted, not with love, but with memory. Nights of shared struggle. Mornings of hope. Then silence. Then abandonment. She turned to the elders. "What happens if mercy is given?" she asked. An elder woman spoke, her voice soft but firm. "Mercy breaks chains," she said. "But it does not erase lessons." Lightning flashed across the sky, bright and sharp. For a moment, the square was white with light. The messenger stepped closer to Zawadi. "If you choose mercy," he said, "the ancestors will demand balance elsewhere. Pain must teach." Zawadi nodded slowly. "I understand," she said. She knelt in the mud, placed both hands on the earth, and spoke clearly. "I reclaim my knowledge, my paths, my wealth," she said. "But I release my anger." The drums changed rhythm. Faster now. Lighter. The rain softened. Cato bowed low until his forehead touched the ground. "I will leave Moranda," he said. "I will begin again with empty hands." The messenger lifted his staff one final time. "Then hear the price," he said. The ground shook once more, gently this time. From the crowd stepped forward several traders who had once mocked Zawadi, men who had taken her knowledge and erased her name. Fear showed on their faces. "You fed from stolen wisdom," the messenger said. "Now you will wander until you learn respect." A sudden wind swept through. The traders cried out as their fine robes tore, turning to dust. Their trade seals cracked and fell. They ran from the square, screaming. The rain stopped. Sunlight broke through the clouds, golden and warm. Birds returned, singing loudly. The storm had passed. But something inside Cato remained broken, and something inside Zawadi had changed forever. The elders gathered around her. "You have walked the hard path," one said. "Not many could." Zawadi stood tall. "I did not walk alone," she replied. "The ancestors walked with me." The messenger turned away, already fading like mist under sun. "Our work is nearly done," his voice echoed. "But one door remains." Zawadi felt a sudden tightness in her chest. "What door?" she asked. The wind answered before he could. A sharp cry rose from the forest, deep, mournful, and powerful. Hunters at the edge of the village stiffened. That sound, one whispered. The mountain spirit. Fear spread quickly. The messenger's voice came faintly now. When power shifts, he said, old forces wake. The ground rumbled toward the mountains. Zawadi looked north, where dark peaks cut into the sky. Her charm burned hot. This is not finished, she said. The drums beat again, fast, urgent, calling, and the mountains listened.